Version 2.0 for Pokemon Pokopia has landed, and it is a huge update, even outside of the expansion pass. We're going to break down everything here today, go over the patch notes and discuss all of the changes, the updates and everything that's new in the 2.0 update. So if this sounds like fun, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new here, and let's get into it. Now, we're not going to run through anything in the DLC as such, or how the game plays out, or even have a look at the area really. This is focusing on the 2.0 update, the free update that everybody gets who's already playing Pokemon Pokopia, and it's everything that's not behind a paywall. So jumping straight into it, the following features have been added, and I quote, added the move Dive, allowing players to move freely underwater. As you know, if you started Pokopia today after the 2.0 update, you can head over to an island and find Manaphy and learn the new move Dive, and now you're free to dive underwater and decorate any way you see fit. The build specialty can now be used to build houses underwater. This is something because of the update. In fact, a lot of this stuff is going to be because of things they've added in the update, but are relevant to the free update outside of the expansion pass. Added new items such as the portal pod and safe. Recipes can be purchased after increasing Pallet Town's environment level. So this is something that wasn't really clear in the lead up to the update, and some of this stuff, like the shared storage and things, are tied to the Pallet Town's environmental level, which sucks for someone like me who's been focusing on all of these zones and the worlds and hasn't even tackled Pallet Town yet. So there's that, bear that in mind. Added new pattern dynamic ditto print. Of course, this can be obtained by talking to Smear Guru after acquiring the diploma. Added new emotes, lie down and ready, set, go, can be obtained in Bleak Beach and on Dream Islands. I'm loving the fact that this is actually kind of telling you in the patch notes where some of these things are located. Added 5 new hair colours, orange, light pink, yellow green, blue green and brown. Added a feature to move items in bulk between the storage box and bag, which is very useful. Added a function to delete items placed inside objects such as the garbage bin. Added the ability to fine-tune depth placement when placing windows, doors and similar items. So this is the whole snap to grid thing and just being able to align things correctly, a big issue people were having, so that's good that that's fixed. Added an option in settings to hide the confirmation message shown when cancelling Magnet Rise. So again, a few UI tweaks it seems, little tweaks here and there just to make the quality of life easier and a bit more smoother when you're navigating around a zone. Added an option in settings allowing movement while the move wheel is open. Added motion sickness reduction settings for the camera. The following items can now be painted: stylish stool, handrail, metal chain, workbench, vending machine, bike, bookcase, Pokemon Center counter, arrow sign and robe. So that's a lot of things that have been kind of implemented in the 2.0 update, again outside of the expansion pass. The following improvements have been implemented, so these are things that have kind of been improved upon, adjusted and just made a little bit better for everyone playing. Even if a Pokemon's habitat is destroyed, it will move back in if the same habitat is rebuilt within a certain area. So if, like me, you've done this 100 times, you've picked up a block by accident and you've destroyed a habitat or whatever it is, and then the Pokemon becomes homeless, you don't have to rebuild it and then go and find them and then make them follow you again and bring them back to where they were. If you build it pretty much in the same place, they're going to automatically go back there, which is awesome. Huge time saver. Pokemon that are sad because furniture was removed will now notice more quickly when the same furniture is replaced. Pokemon that taught you an emote will now respond with the same emote when you use it, which is pretty cool interaction. If a Pokemon being searched for in the Pokédex is in another town, you can now travel to that town using Return Home. Reduced ordinary conversation indicators so that special Pokemon conversations and requests directed at Ditto stand out more clearly. Lost relics can now be appraised in batches of up to 10 at a time, which is so cool because I've been saving them up in my storage, and as I was sorting out my storage yesterday, I realized I have a whole bunch of them. Paint, gather honey and collect can now be performed multiple times in the same interaction. During crafting, materials in the storage box next to the workbench will be consumed before materials in the bag. That's an interesting one. Didn't realize that was an issue, but I suppose it makes sense to do it that way around. Increase the placement limit for power generators, excluding furnaces, from 64 to 128. So this will be brilliant for those farming things and setting up massive farms. Increase the number of different photos that can be displayed in a town from 10 to 40. When sucking up liquid, a short press of the move button to hold liquids in Ditto's mouth will allow liquid to be held in the mouth without removing it from the environment. That's a complicated one. I'm not sure I even understand what that just said. When releasing stored water, adjusted water levels now automatically match nearby water levels. So this will stop those weird angled water levels ramps. They look like little ramps where the water kind of tapers off even though the water near it is of a different level. That should fix that. That's really awesome. Smear Guru can now learn patterns from photos stored in references. Improved visibility of the target item when painting with paint balloons, which again is a super useful thing. Increase the amount of treasure discoverable with the dowsing machine on Dream Islands. I still haven't used the dowsing machine, but it's good to know that those that do use it, it will be a little bit more refined. Pokemon companions can now follow you while moving with Surf, Glide, Rollout, or Magnet Rise, which is really cool. I didn't even notice that. Is that really a thing? I played through the whole DLC and I haven't noticed that. Inhaling items and opening the bag are now possible when rolling using Rollout. Rollout can now destroy certain natural objects such as large boulders. Surf can now be activated on land by pressing the Surf button while holding the Focus button. Interesting. Improved activation conditions for Surf and Waterfall so they occur more smoothly. I actually had problems with Surf, so that's really good. Leafage can now be used on farm soil to revert it to a normal soil block. Strength can now be used underwater because of course of the update and the use of dive. So again, still in the 2.0 update here, not the DLC, although this also carries over to the DLC. Added an all tab to both the Pokédex and Habitat decks. Made it clearer that buildings can still be remodeled even when items such as the Ditto flag are attached to roofs or walls. Really niche little bug there, I guess, that some people were encountering. During construction, any Pokemon not assigned to the build role in a building project can now help with cooking. Prevented treasures in Sparkling Skylands from appearing when using the dowsing machine in locations where breaking terrain would cause them to fall. Oh, that's an interesting one. I hadn't noticed that. So if you broke rocks and the treasures would fall, you'd lose them. Improved messages when there are insufficient materials for copying items using 3D printer. Items can now be placed on top of square plants. Hide and seek can now be cancelled midway. That's pretty good. Adjusted in-game event notifications shown at startup so they are displayed only during specific remaining day periods. Certain roof items now block water. Okay, that's just going to be a trial and error, I guess. Increased output when crafting curve eaves to 10. Tidal Bell and Clear Bell can now be triggered using laser sensors and switches. That's not something I've actually explored myself. Adjusted sound effects for camping chair and sleeping bag. What a strange one to include in patch notes. I'm glad they're being this transparent with what they're actually changing, but it looks like some subtle changes to some sound effects there, probably to do with kind of how the appearance of the items is and the materials used to make it a little bit more immersive. And improved performance for certain rendering processes. So we should see a few less glitches maybe and things popping in and out a little bit easier and a nicer transition and just overall nicer visuals. And it doesn't stop there. The following issues have now been fixed. So these are known bug fixes that many people were complaining about through the community, and also the Pokemon Company and Nintendo noticed themselves and have gone and fixed. So these are what we're about to read now is the bug. Now, when talking to a Pokemon that is currently assigned to construct buildings, options such as follow me may sometimes fail to appear. So that has been fixed. They will always appear now. Suicune and Goldengo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, may be unable to travel across water. Pokemon may occasionally fall into the ocean or off cliffs when appearing from their habitats. That's quite sad. Glad to know that's fixed, so there's obviously some invisible boundaries there being added. Even when using honey, Pokemon may sometimes fail to return to their habitats. This just reminds me just how big this game actually is. It's pretty crazy when you think about just the scale and the depth and the complexity of all of these features and everything that's kind of working alongside each other. And because we can move boundaries and build structures, it makes it quite complicated, doesn't it? Using Magnet Rise may occasionally cause Pokemon to scold or warn the player, which has now been fixed. Pokemon that dislike water may sometimes be unable to move across duckweed and flowering duckweed on the water's surface. Requests from Pokemon may occasionally ask for items that the requesting Pokemon actually dislikes. That's of course been fixed. They won't ask for things they dislike anymore. When processing berries in the community box, paint may not be produced correctly. The timing of the note played by the music mat, Hi Do, is offset incorrectly. Oh, interesting. Didn't realize that. There's lots of people doing musical things. I don't know if, did anyone notice that? Certain furniture can be painted through specific procedures, even on parts where the colors are not actually changeable. Painting certain items may use more paint than intended. The light color of a painted surface light may fail to change correctly. Under specific conditions, it is possible to place more than one party cooking pot in the same town, which is useful. Some items may display unnaturally when viewed from a distance, so this is probably to do with the rendering situation. They've fixed that, and it's also fixed some of the things that may have popped in, popped out, or didn't look quite right, or maybe the colors were off at a distance. For some items, visual effects may disappear when viewed through glass. Oh. Under certain conditions during multiplayer, building may become impossible to complete or cancel, which is now fixed, of course, because we're reading these are the bugs, known bugs, and these are the bugs that have been fixed. In certain situations, it may be unclear why actions such as building or relocation cannot be performed. On Cloud Islands, players other than the administrator may be able to place a relocation kit. Under certain conditions, a building kit may become unrecoverable when remodeling a house. That's not too easy to say. Under certain conditions, painted portions of the sand house may be reset. Using Rock Smash while falling may cause Ditto's position or height to become significantly displaced. During the Withered Wasteland request Clear the Path, which is the very start of the game, Slowpoke may stop moving partway through. I actually experienced that. During the Sparkling Skylands request Follow Tinkmaster, certain actions may prevent the request from progressing. I think a lot of these things we've been complaining about for a while, so it's really good to see these fixed. During the Sparkling Skylands request Pokemon Center Tour Guide, searching for Tinkmaster in the Pokedex may guide the player to the town containing their habitat rather than the town where they are currently located. Oh, interesting. I do love reading through the patch notes because it's really interesting to know what other things other people were experiencing. Loading may occasionally fail to finish when returning from a dream island, so that's just a bit of a crash and the game freezes, you have to reboot. Shouldn't lose anything though, because I think it saves before that point. Returning from a dream island may incorrectly send a player to Pallet Town. I didn't experience that because I haven't actually been to Pallet Town yet. I've been focusing on the other worlds. Under certain conditions, when an online session ends, the player may be transported to a dream island. On the Cloud Island loading screen, the player's gender pronoun may sometimes be displayed incorrectly in some languages. And then it finishes off with, we have made several additional adjustments and fixed a number of bugs to improve the overall gameplay experience, which is just a very generic saying just to say, if there's other bugs you've noticed over the last couple of months, there's a good chance we fixed them, and there's a lot of behind the scenes little things we've tweaked that you probably won't notice or not even worth mentioning, but they've been pretty transparent here and pretty detailed with their patch notes, which is really awesome. So as far as a free update goes, this is more than just bug fixes. We've got new items, new emotes, new prints, new items for storage and the portal pod and safe and things like that. Lots of fixes, of course, and just general quality of life improvements, which is amazing. So there we have it. That's everything added in the 2.0 update. And again, this is just the free update. It's not even the expansion pass that we will probably tackle in another video. I have played through it. It took about 4 hours for me, although I did have a time where I couldn't find a certain material, but there we go. This is the 2.0 update. Let me know if you're enjoying this or even the Bubbly Basin DLC. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here at the end of the video, be sure to leave a like on the way out. It would mean a lot, and don't forget to subscribe.